Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to this webinar on process of social impact assessment being done by the Institute of Social Auditors of India, which is a Section 8 company of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So our today's faculty is C. Harsha Ramnani. She is a chartered accountant with having experience of 12 years and has exposure as an auditing expert in various industries. Her areas of expertise include statutory audits, management, internal audits, operations audit, BRSR, Ind AS and IFRS conversions of corporate and non-corporate entities. She's also a registered valuer for securities and financial assets and has certification in forensic accounting and fraud detection also. So I would like to welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Rangoli, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, first of all, to Institute of Social Auditors of India for giving me this opportunity. And today we are going to have a short discussion on process of social impact assessment. So just let me share my screen first, and then we can start with the discussion. I hope my screen is completely visible and voice is clear. Yeah, thank you. So I'll take question also one by one as and when I'm getting queries from the participant. And we'll start first understanding what exactly is the social impact assessment and how we can explore our interest in this new area. What I understand from my past experience of last 2 to 3 years, that we as a chartered accountant are somewhere exploring ESG domain and social audit domain more on the part like how we can explore the interest, what kind of the opportunities we have in this area, and how we can explore all these opportunities. So today's webinar is designed to understand that once you are having any particular engagement to conduct a social impact assessment, so what should be the process, how we should prepare the report, the impact assessment report, and what things we need to take care when we are conducting any social impact assessment. Particularly, if I talk about, this is the perfect time where you can get a maximum queries for the social impact assessment. Reason being, this is the time when most of the listed companies are coming with their results, and we all know that CSR expenditure is one of the important area which needs to be seen by and checked by the statutory auditors. And in 2021, rules have been amended where independent impact assessment for the CSR expenditure as well is being introduced in CSR rules. So this is how you can always have a first opportunity to conduct a social impact assessment. And then after that, you can explore your interest being a social auditor after clearing the exam, which is regularly being conducted by NISM. As and when you find yourself prepared for the exam, you can just go on the NISM portal and can register yourself for the exam. And once you clear the exam, always you can apply for the membership with ISAI. And after that, you are, eligible to conduct a impact assessment. So to start with today's discussion, first we understand that how social stock exchange come in India and what is the background. So when I say the social stock exchange, so it is a segment or a part of our existing stock exchange, NSE and a BSE. We have two recognized exchange where it is giving an opportunity, or it is a platform which connects investors with the companies and organizations who are having a social or environmental mission. So there are ample of the companies, or there are ample of the people who want to somewhere donate or fund certain amounts for certain aspect, which is environmental or social missions. And there are certain organization, NGOs, who are actively working to achieve that. So this particular platform is designed to meet these two parties so that both can meet and can work out on both the missions. This particular platform gives an area for social enterprises who can always obtain the fund from in transparent and efficient manner. And there are various, fundraising instruments. There are various fundraising mechanism which is being introduced under social audit regime, which are available as per the regulatory guidelines. So this is something new, somewhere, platform that we are seeing. It is completely evolving. Regularly, we are seeing many changes. Like initially, when platform was launched, first launch of this platform was on BSE platform in October 2022. And then in February 2023, NSE come up with their social stock exchange. Till now, if I talk about status, so approximately 60 plus NGOs are registered on both the segments, and 3 to 4 NGOs already raised fund through ZC, ZP bond or different other various instruments. Initially, we were waiting for first fundraising because ZC, ZP is one of the new kind of instrument which is being introduced for the social stock exchange platform only. And initially, there was a rule that company will not get any CSR expenditure if they donate certain amount to these social enterprises, or maybe the ATG benefit. That was the reason it was not much more popularized, and NGOs were not able to get a proper fund through ZCZP. Later on, SEBI amended the rules. Now, size of issue is also being reduced. Threshold of issue is also being reduced, and the CSR expenditure and ATG deduction is also being allowed for the ZCZP. So now NGOs are coming up with the ZCZP instrument issue, and companies are subscribing also and taking initiative or a part on that part. This particular complete framework is regularized under the recognized stock exchange. So this gives more transparency and more accountability, which was a major issue earlier for the NGOs. We always wanted to, donate certain amounts. We always wanted to fund certain missions or tasks. But because of non-transparency, because of non-accountability, we were not able to donate our amount at a right place. But because of the social stock exchange, now, because there is a transparency, there is a accountability, we have a complete status or a complete, background of the NGO, that what exactly they are doing, where they are spending their money, how much people are getting benefit from their money. So now donors or funders are also in comfort position and taking initiative to donate their amount for the social cause purpose. This is a framework which will give you an idea about that how social stock exchange is working in India. So this exchange is a kind of mediator or a trading platform between investors and the social enterprises. Definition of social enterprises also being defined under social audit rules, so that can be checked. Mostly NGOs and the Section 8 companies, these are the social trust. These are the institutions which is considered eligible for the social enterprises. Then beneficiaries are always there for whom these social enterprises are working. So whenever, if I'm calling myself as an NGO, that I'm working for that particular certain cause, for say example, like I'm working for the improvement in education. So there will be always a target beneficiary whom I am targeting. So it can be students or kids from marginal areas or marginal communities. It can be students from the vulnerable communities. So that we need to see who are the target beneficiaries. Between SEBI and a social stock exchange, SRO has been, constituted. So Institute of Social Auditor of India is SRO, who is regulating all the members and regulating all mechanism of the impact assessment. So these are the few functions of social stock exchange, which we can understand that this exchange providing us a platform to raise fund. Investors, and rather we will say that funders or donors will donate their amounts to various instruments which is offered at the exchange. Social enterprises are there who will get a support or deliver services to the beneficiaries, target beneficiaries. And social auditors or certified agency, authorized certified agency, will be the agencies who can collect information from the beneficiaries, who can conduct the impact assessment for the listing as well as for their regular submission purpose. So there will be two cases where some impact assessment will be requested from us. One will be when particular organization want to register themselves on a social stock exchange, and second is when they want to list any particular instrument on the exchange, or their yearly cycle is being there and they need to submit their yearly impact assessment report to the exchange. So these two situations will be there, and it will be similar like recurring assignments for all of us, like similar to the statutory audit, where being a social impact assessor or social auditor, earlier the term was used as a auditor, now it is being changed as an impact assessor. So we will be eligible to conduct these impact assessment. Being a social impact assessor, we will measure the outcomes of the project, and how we will measure the outcomes, so that we will discuss in coming slides that how it is different. Investor will assess those outputs evaluated by the third-party evaluators, certifying agencies, and validate impact of the project. So this is how this complete mechanism will work. Now we'll come on the point for the today's important section, which is social impact assessment engagement. That once this impact assessment exercise is being assigned to us, how to conduct that impact assessment. So this is the process which you can find through our NISM workbook material, which is being issued by NISM and SEBI, that how we need to conduct an assessment and what typically impact process assessment process will include. So it starts from defining objective and a scope. What is the scope or objective? Then mapping of the stakeholders, evolve data collection tools. Then it will sampling the strategy of the data collection. We will have a group discussions or the interviews with the stakeholders. After having interviews or discussion, there will be a data analysis and the validation, then drafting report, verifying and certifying. So it typically it's like similar to our start audit that we normally do in a regular circumstances, but methods will be changed, process will be little bit changed, and approach will be changed. Most important part is here approach, because in normal statutory audit, we are auditing the financial numbers. Here, there is no role of numbers, at least for the financial numbers. Here, we need to see or we need to assess the impact. For example, if there is a university which is giving a scholarship to the student, we need to identify what is the impact by giving that scholarship to the student, irrespective of gender or maybe whatever the criteria they are having. So it's not about the total number of students whom the scholarship is being given, the amount of scholarship which is being distributed amongst the students. It's about that by giving that scholarship, what impact has been caused on the society or the community, that we need to review or validate, and accordingly we need to draft our impact report. So this is a different exercise, type of impact assessment audit, but in a different way. So for social impact assessment, there are 5 elements which typically involve. First element is about 3-party relationship. So it's a 3-party. One is the social auditor, or we will say it as a social impact assessor. Second, a responsible party, and third is intended user. So these are the 3 parties. Second element is about the project or a program which we need to audit, or the intervention scope. So there will be always a particular project or program. It is not about the expenditure that you are auditing or you are trying to assess. It's about the project or the program that you are trying to see that what exactly the impact has been caused. Third is about the social project monitoring framework, that what kind of the monitoring framework organization or a social enterprises is having, and how they are monitoring the impact on a regular course of activities. Fourth is about audit evidence. So obviously earlier the name was audit here. Now it is being changed as a social impact assessment. Still, without evidence, it will not be possible for us to certify or to attest any document, because ultimately being a member of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, for this also, what I understand, we need to generate UDIN. So if I need to generate UDIN, it is a attestation function. And for any attestation function, we should always have a audit evidence. And at last, there will be a social impact assessment report, which will be the actual deliverable for our exercise, which we are conducting. So when I talk about social impact assessment process, so how it normally start. So any assessment or a social audit, if I talk about, it start from any particular project. First of all, there should be a project or there should be a program which is being run by any of social enterprises. And once we identified the program or the project, then actual process start for evaluating and assessing the social, environmental, and economical impact. So why these three pillars? Because now, if any of the business also we are talking about, earlier the discussion was like, what is the top line, what is the bottom line? But now when it talks about CSR expenditure or social cause or social impact, so there is a triple bottom line approach, which talks about with economics, environmental and social impact also should also be there. So these are the two important also pillars which we need to address as an impact of the organizational activity, policy, and a practice. The impact assessment process that we conduct involves the gathering of data, analyzing data on the organization's performance, identifying their strength and weakness, and making recommendation for improvement. So this is how normally process start. Whenever we are working on any impact assessment, we should always consider that we should work on the SMART goal. Now, what is the meaning of SMART here? The full form of SMART will be, S stands for the specific, that there should be always a specific target which organization want to achieve. Without having any specific target, we cannot, ascertain the impact of any particular program. M stands for the measurable. So that means whatever the impact you want to measure, that should be always measurable. So it's not about that we cannot measure. We can see, but we cannot measure. So then it's difficult for us to produce any report. So it should be always measurable. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to conduct any impact assessment and to produce report to the company. A stands for, so that probably we'll share, discuss in further slide. Otherwise, it will mix up. So M is here important, which includes, measurable tasks should be there. And organization should always share the values and objective which is committed to the particular program or project. So whenever we start impact assessment process, start from collecting information to reaching audit conclusion, the normal audit process that we follow. So when we are collecting or verifying information, how it is different from the financial audit. So in this impact assessment, whenever we are talking about data, collecting data or verifying information, we are talking about two types of data. One is the primary data and other one is the secondary data. So how it is different from financial audit? Normally, the financial audit is what we are conducting is based on the secondary data, not based on the primary data. Why I'm saying that it is the secondary data? The reason being, like for what is primary data here and what is secondary data here? Secondary data is which you can collect from organization itself, which you can collect from the entity itself. For example, their fund utilization certificate, their project reports, their project status, how much percentage they have spent, how much part they have spent on which particular area, what is the number of target beneficiaries, who are the actual beneficiaries. These all information we collect from the organization. What is primary data here? So primary data is here. As I said, it is an impact assessment report. We cannot ascertain the impact without having interviews with target beneficiaries group. or the people who are benefited from the program. So all the focus group discussions, all unstructured interviews, structured interviews by with these participations, it is something that comes as a primary data, because that gives you understanding, that gives you background that, okay, impact is being caused or not caused, or what is the status of the social project or a program that we are auditing. So there are few questions which I would like to take first. One question is, can foreign donation be infused through SSC? So at present, it is not permitted. Through social stock exchange, currently we cannot infuse any foreign donation. Private donation can be there in a foreign remittance, but through social stock exchange, currently it is not permitted. What is ZCZP? So the full form of ZCZP is zero coupon, zero principal bond. It is a type of instrument where if you are, subscribing that instrument, which is having a face value of ₹1,000, by subscribing that, by paying that ₹1,000, you are not going to get any interest on that part or any principal back. So it will completely be a donation in form of for that certain social cause purpose, and you will, amortize that amount in a duration of project or a program for which purpose you have subscribed that particular instrument. Can you share the document which mention about eligibility of HTG and CSR? So this is a recent amendment in social audit rules. So probably that can be shared by the coordinators with all the participants once we are, completing this or we are concluding this webinar. Then one question is, for a listed company, the role of social auditor is to validate the impact report done by the organization, either through self or through an agency, by looking into their secondary data and a documentation and dipstick primary check for the stakeholder, especially the beneficiaries. Or does the social assessor have to do the entire impact study for the organization? So for listed companies, the CSR rules is being amended recently, where the threshold limit of the independent agency impact assessment is being reduced. That if your total project cost is 10 CR, or during the year your project layout or spent is more than 1 CR, then mandatorily company needs to have an independent impact assessment for their CSR expenditure. And for that, these rules and mechanism is applicable that you can always follow. To check their latest, previous year impact assessment report, just check their CSR disclosures, where you will find their previous year impact assessment report, so that you can always have an idea that what was their earlier impact assessment, who has conducted that, what are the programs. So all details you will find in an annual report itself in a CSR disclosure. I hope the query is being addressed. Can we be shared a sample impact assessment report, or can will be guided online web page? So as I mentioned, sir, for listed companies, just check their annual report, top 150, 200, any of the company you open in their CSR disclosure, you will for sure find their CSR impact assessment report. Like JK Lakshmi Cement, if you open that, so you will find their previous report, that how they conducted for their CSR expenditure. Rail Vikas Nigam, Infosys, Tata, any of top 200, 300 you will find, because their expenditure and their total project cost of CSR expenditure is more than 10 CR. So it is applicable on them, and they are regularly having an independent agency to conduct the impact assessment. How do we directly connect SDG and a BRSR report, and how to analyze them? How does the social stock exchange function? So first of all, social stock exchange and BRSR, both are the different segment. We should not, mix up both of the segment. Second, how it is somewhere correlated. So the social impact assessment, which you are conducting in a capacity of social impact assessor, that is a part of BRSR report as well. In principle number 8, essential indicator, it talks about whether organization have any impact assessment for their projects or not. If organization is having any independent agency impact assessment, then they need to give the details about the same. So this is how linking is there. How to link it with SDG, so Sustainable Development Goal. So just Google Sustainable Development Goals list. You will, will be directed through the SDG website. And once you see the total 17 SDG there, for that 17 SDG, you will find the targets as well and indicator to check that the status of the target. So what organization can do, that just see the list of the targets which is being given by the SDG itself, and pick up any of the particular target which you find suitable for your project, or you think that you can achieve that in upcoming years. Accordingly, make your goals, and then have an impact assessment report based on the indicators which is being given, and again on a SDG website. So once we complete this presentation, I will go through with the SDG website as well, where you can have a complete idea that how you can find the target that can be mapped to a particular company projects or a programs, and then how we can have indicators for the impact assessment. How to prepare our projects in a perspective of social audit template before registration on organization social, and what should be done. So for the format of impact assessment report, it has been given in NISM workbook material. So that also only we need to follow. Otherwise, previous impact assessment report for the listed company, you can always see and have an idea that how other agencies are conducting a impact assessment. So I think these are the only questions we get till now. Rest of the question probably I will take after a few more slides. So when we talk about assessment process, so audit evidence is again one of the important area which needs to be taken care by us. And being a chartered accountant, what I understand that we are very much familiar the importance of the audit evidence, that why it is important and how it is important for us being a work paper. So in social impact assessment also, if I talk about evidence, so there can be a type of evidence which we always can have as our work papers or a documentation. One is the documentary evidence, which includes a variety of documents which probably you will collect during your visit to the program or project. You will verify, you will check at the time of auditing, and it can be a utilization certificate, certain reports, certain notes, regular, their review of the targets, which particular social enterprises is having. So this is something, a documentary evidence you will keep in your working file. Second, the important evidence in an impact assessment will be the oral evidence. And this is something which we need to understand, that because it is the oral evidence, we need to record that. And that is the reason it always include more cost in terms of the audit evidence, because to record all the oral discussions, we always need a space on cloud that you can save at least for a few years in coming time. So this is something, that discussions or interaction which you are having with the social enterprises and their KMPs. Because whenever you start any impact assessment, you understand the project first, you understand the program first, you will go through with all the documentation. Then after, you will have a focus group discussions or interviews with target beneficiaries. And target beneficiaries again will be a good sample size, because here we also need to take care about the samples as well. So that also again we need to take care that if total beneficiaries are for say 400, so at least 60 to 70 beneficiaries we should always have an interaction. Otherwise, our sample size will not considered to appropriate for the proportion. Third comes as a physical evidence, which is the inspection of the asset or the count of asset. So for programs or project for which we are conducting an impact assessment, there will be a certain infrastructure facilities which you will always visit, and you will see that what kind of infrastructure facilities is being developed, or there will be a certain asset which they have created over the period of time. So that you need to see, you need to capture the details, you need to understand that, okay, this infrastructure, how it is causing impact, or how it is giving inputs or add-on facilities to the target beneficiaries. And based on the nature of your audit, these evidence you need to record. Analytical. So similar to the financial audit, here also we need to do certain analysis. Like for example, if I am auditing any particular educational institution or a medical institution, I know that the hospital capacity is 100 bed. So is it possible that any time in a previous year or during the period of review, a hospital is being booked for more than 100 beds? Answer is no. So that analysis also, or analytical checks also, we need to do with the numbers and the, certain structure that has been submitted to us for impact assessment, so that we can see the reasonableness of all qualitative as well as quantitative number relationship between the piece of information which is given to us, and so that we can drive the impact. Information and documents required by the social auditor. So this already we discussed. So there will be two types of data. One is secondary data, other will be the primary data. Secondary data will be which you collect from the social enterprises itself, or the organization for which you are conducting an impact assessment. So it will be their financial statements, probably their reports, the project status, the number of target beneficiaries, the amount spent on that particular program or project. So this will be complete a data which you can find. There can be certain data which you will find through public domain, like their LinkedIn page or Facebook or any other public portal page, where they are submitting certain numbers, that this number of the target beneficiaries we have achieved in a particular year or particular during the period. So this is how certain secondary data you can get from the public domain. Also, through RTI as well, you can get a public data if you need. So up to your project which you are conducting an impact assessment, you will decide how to get a secondary data. And being an auditor or an impact assessor, it is our responsibility to demand a complete access of relevant secondary data. This is not a financial audit, so always be, take care about it, that you are not asking any unnecessary detail which is not relevant to your report, and only ask the relevant information so that your report can be prepared properly. There can be a monthly, quarterly, or a 6-monthly reports also, which is being maintained by the organization based on the constitution under which they are registered. So like if it is a trust or a society or NGO, and by their bylaws, it is mentioned that they will prepare a monthly, quarterly, or 6-monthly report, or somewhere they need to submit. For example, if they are registered on Social Stock Exchange, so now it is a requirement to submit a fund utilization certificate on a quarterly basis. So that you can always demand as a secondary data. Then there will be a photo documentation, clipping of the events or the activities which are important evidence, and that can be available to the auditors for their verification purpose. Then it comes as a stakeholders who are the integral part of the social audit process. So we also need to see certain documentary evidence with respect to the impact report, like list of farmers with the signature on one piece of evidence, or maybe the list of other students. So this for further data you can always demand from social enterprises for their impact assessment consultation. And if you find any discrepancy in that, so accordingly you can further scrutinize. Now it comes to the primary data. So this is something most important for all of us for the impact assessment report, and something different that we have not done in a previous audits, in a financial audit. So somewhere we need to familiarize ourselves that how to conduct a focus group discussion, or a structured interview or unstructured interview. What is the benefit, when unstructured should be conducted, when structured should be conducted. So this is something we will get through the experience only. For example, if there is a particular program which is being designed for a small kids with the age range of 6 years to 14 years, will the structured interview serve the purpose? Answer is no. Because a structured interview, they will not be able to answer your queries, or maybe they will not be able to submit the questionnaire which you want to utilize for your impact assessment report. For kids with the age group of 6 to 14 years, where these are the small kids, unstructured interview will be the best option, or will be the best method to conduct the impact assessment, because then only you will get a real feedback from these kids what they are experiencing after conducting after having that particular program. Similarly, if there is a particular project which is for university and students are college going students, then in that case you can always have a questionnaire or a structured interview or focus group discussion, which you can always record and document as per your requirement. So based on your target beneficiaries, you will decide that which particular method will be the best suitable method for the target beneficiaries. Type of questions, again, this is the frequent question which you can find in the exams itself, because they will ask you some question like, this is the program which the target beneficiaries are having age of range between this to this, which type of the method is suitable for them. So this is something case studies you can also find in exams. By this primary data, we try to evaluate any misstatement identified during audit or evidence for the same. So there can be situation that from secondary data, we are in influence that, okay, impact has been caused, but after having a focus group discussion or interviews with the target beneficiaries, it is observed that there is a misstatement, and that should be, a report, or that should be part of our impact report. Audited financial statements and utilization certificate, again, will be the part of our documentation. And being an auditor, as I said, it is our responsibility to use appropriate technique and a sample size to ensure reliability, accuracy, and validity of the information. So evidence building is here most important, because these type of the project is something where a very difficult to get a evidence building and complicated. So that we need to see that how we are going to build our evidence, and professional escapism is on the topmost priority, on a high level, where you understand that whatever you are seeing or whatever you are observing, whether it is true picture or somewhere that needs to be take care. So few points that we need to take care here when it comes to the evidence building. One is, evidence obtained from one source is inconsistent with obtained from another. So if you find any inconsistency, that will give you a raise that we need to check further that why inconsistency is there. Second, as a social auditor, if you have any doubt on reliability of the information, that can be used as a evidence. So if any university is claiming that they have given a scholarship to approximate number of 258 students, and when you are visiting that university or a college, you are not able to see much student in a premises, so that always can give you a doubt how our information is reliable, how much it is reliable, or whether the data which is being produced to us is required more scrutiny or not. Once you conduct the impact assessment, so accordingly, you will accumulate the incorrect misstatement identified during the engagement, and then try to, mention all the effect of misstatement in your assurance report. As a social auditor or an impact assessor, it is being requested to us from an appropriate party, a written representative. So similar to the financial audit, we will also have a written representation from the responsible party, which is the social enterprises, to provide us a representation, written representation, that whatever the details is being provided to us is true and fair. The measurements and the evaluation of the underlying subject is for the applicable criteria is again relevant matter is reflected subject to the matter information. and any other particular information which we have obtained required one or more representation. So that again, we can always request from the client side. So this is something, a concluding slide on an audit evidence, that when you are checking your working file, you should be confident enough that your audit evidence are competence in the terms of reliability. As a social auditor, if you are unable to find appropriate evidence or a scope limitation is there, or somewhere you are not comfortable with respect to the impact which is being caused, then as an auditor, we should always express a qualified opinion or adverse opinion or a disclaimer as per the situation. Relevance here means the penetration and the information which is provided an opinion. And as an auditor, it is our responsibility to evaluate the sufficiency and the appropriateness of the evidence which is being obtained through the engagement and necessary for the circumstances. So overall structure is same that we normally follow in the financial audit. Only the methods are different, and the report which we will prepare in this impact assessment, it will be different from our independent audit report. Audit conclusion. So once you are concluded with your social audit findings or impact assessment finding and with other appropriate information collected, you will draft your audit conclusion. You will agree to the audit conclusion, taking any uncertainty if it is there, prepare recommendation and discuss audit follow-up as applicable as per your engagement letter. Whatever the conclusion you will draft, that we need to see the extent of conformity with the social audit criteria, so that we need to take care, and achievement of the audit objective, coverage of the scope and fulfillment of the audit criteria is again responsibility. Similar to the financial audit, there will be two types of opinions. One will be the unmodified or an unqualified opinion, which means a clean report, and we understand that there is no material mismanagement and sufficient and appropriate audit evidence has been obtained by the social auditor. Second type of opinion will be the qualified opinion or modified opinion, which is again divided in three parts: qualified, adverse and disclaimer. So based on the situation, you will frame your opinion and accordingly prepare your report. So these are the few challenges that you can find in social audit when you are conducting an impact assessment. And actually, it is little bit difficult in terms of the financial audit. Reason being, it is something which is happening in the dynamic environment. There can be a multi-dimensional areas and interconnected framework. Not necessarily that every time when you are being appointed to conduct the impact assessment, it is something which you need to conduct only following one particular framework. There can be a situation that organization or social enterprises, they are following a different framework based on their areas where they are working. So the first important aspect, which is here's most difficult part, is capturing softer data while capturing the social impact. Now, what is the meaning here, softer data? The softer data is the discussion with the target beneficiaries or the interviews with the target beneficiaries. It's not necessarily that every time you get a true feedback from the target beneficiaries or true background of the particular organization or enterprises. Because just I'm sharing an experience with you that for one university, we are conducting an impact assessment. For 459 are the target beneficiaries whom they have distributed the scholarship, and that scholarship list we have taken from the university itself. For that, from 469 students, the sample is being selected by us. And when we are trying to connect with these students, it is difficult to connect with them. Till the time college is not telling these students that you need to respond this particular call or to this person, they are not responding to the social auditor. So this is something very difficult where, because, and it is a situation where the target beneficiaries are educated, institution is educated and they understand the importance of this particular exercise. Now, imagine if it is a particular program which is, probably in a rural area, and people for whom this particular program was run or project is being carried out, it is for the people who are not educated or not well educated, and they do not understand the importance of this particular whole exercise. So for us, it all, approximately took 10 to 15 days to take interview only for the 59 students. So out of 459, we only selected a sample of 59, and to get a proper response from these 59 students, it took approximately 15 days for my team. And after that, we are able to draft our report, and somewhere we are in position to discuss with the management that this is something we are finding certain limitations or the challenges or improvement that needs in a upcoming time. So softer data, which is to trace first of all a right candidate for the interview or a focus group discussion, and then to get a response from them, is a very difficult in this particular area. Second is capturing social and economic impact is tough task. So it is difficult because your team is not somewhere habitual to ask these type of the questions. So this is something different in terms of the financial audit. For financial audits, we have certain set of standards. We understand why we are auditing that numbers, what is the objective. Here again, for us, we have a standard, social audit standard, that can be considered as a benchmark, and we can conduct our impact assessment considering that social audit standard. Still, it is a tough task because you need to capture the social and economical impact. Traceability of the certain stakeholder groups. So this is again something very difficult. There was an incident where a particular social enterprises requested us to conduct an impact assessment for past 12 years. So right now it's 2024, and they were in 2023, they requested us to conduct an impact assessment for last 12 years. What they were doing, that particular organization was working on certain projects for tourists to have a good experience in a tourist, Jaisalmer area. Jaisalmer is a place which is a very popular place. So they were having certain project and programs so that whosoever the tourist is coming, they should always have a good experience while they are visiting a different places. Now their target beneficiaries are tourists. Can we have a list or a detail of the tourists who are having a good experience by implementation of that program? Probably answer is no. There can be only certain numbers. That is again assumption based number, that this is the number, the tourist which is being visited the particular place during the year. Before that, only 100 tourists were visiting. After implementation of that program, now 200 or 300 tourists are regularly visiting to that particular place. So that a rough number we can always have, but exact detail we cannot have. And the target beneficiaries who are benefited by the program, that detail we are not having. We can only have interviews, the current tourist or the current, a guest which is visiting that place. Previous guest or a tourist, we don't have any detail. So this is something again difficult part. Access to appropriate data in a user-friendly manner. So because these enterprises are NGOs, trust or societies, they are not user-friendly in terms of preparation of data. They have very unstructured data and very difficult to get a data in a proper structured manner. So because you always want, okay, I need a last year number, how much spent was on this particular program, how much spent was on this particular program, then for the segregation. And that segregation probably you will not find from any of the social enterprise. So this is something again important challenge that we need to address. Overclaiming of impact needs to be addressed. So this is something very interesting. For any of the CSR project or a social audit project, there will be always, not always, but in maximum time, it is being seen as an overclaiming of the impact. For example, if 100 people are benefited by the program, probably the organization or enterprises will claim it as 120 or 130. It is normal human tendency that we have seen in past. So that overclaiming now we need to address, because here we need to attest that, okay, whatever the number enterprises is giving, it is true or fair. So that we need to address. And for impact assessment, where the stakeholder groups are traceable, it is easy to get a proper number. But where the stakeholder groups are not easily traceable, then it is a difficult task for us as a impact assessor. And the last one is multi-dimensional project implementation with a different sectors. So not necessarily that every time whosoever organization is coming to you for impact assessment, they will only work for one particular project or one particular area. Total 16 thematic areas which is being issued by Niti Aayog and considered for the improvement in our country. 17 SDG goals are there. So there is a wide area, wide opportunities for the organization to work in a different segment. And every organization is working in a 3 to 4 or 5 areas at least. Considering educational part, medical facilities, then sanitizations, water issues, energy, carbon emission issues. So there are multiple issues which every organization is trying to capture under their CSR project, and they are trying to address the issues. So this is something is again challenge where expertise, your team expertise, your expertise, considering all these areas need to be take care that whatever the team composition you are having, that you need to always address. There can be certain times a difficult program where your team is not fit. For example, normally being a chartered accountant firm, we always have interns in our office. The age group of our interns is 19 to 22, 19 years to 22 years. This is the age group we are having as a team of interns. And then we have certain CAs and partners in our organization. So now think about the situation where a particular, and this is the real situation actually. One of the ministry issued a requirement that we need to conduct an impact assessment for one of their project, and that project was for the sex workers. And for that particular project, you need to interview the sex workers who are working on different areas. So now you can't send, first of all, your interns to interview them, because probably they are not mature enough to talk with them in a proper manner and to understand their issues and what can be the solutions for their issues, or what can be the challenges which they are facing. So this is how your team, which probably somewhere many times we considered, okay, we have a 50 plus team or 100 plus team, suddenly your team size is being reduced and you are not able to get a right set of people for the particular exercise. And it is not about the situation which is a mid-size firm or a small size firm, even for the big firm, because this is something which I'm telling you, this request was from one of the big firms where they were not getting a right people within their organization. Therefore, they were asking a different firms that if they have a right set of people to interview for this project. So this is how somewhere we need to see the team composition and how to address a particular issue. Is there any doubts or queries or questions that we can take? Do we have any question right now? Sandeep sir, Rangoli ma'am? Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Sandeep here.
Is there any question?
Let me check, ma'am. मैं एक बार फिर check करूँ.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the last question was related to ZCZP. Okay, we have more questions. Ma'am, I posted in group. One more question.
Can amount of CSR project? So yes, now the amount of CSR project can be donated under ZCZP instrument if any of the social enterprises is coming, because now this expenditure is Sandeep, if you can mute it from your side.
Yeah, sure.
Then the next question is, can an impact assessment be allotted to individual SA or any SA agency? So up to choice of the listed company, if I talk about current situation, that if they want to give this particular engagement to any agency, they can give, or if they want any individual social auditor, so they can appoint any individual auditor. Can a statutory auditor of NGO be act as an impact assessment auditor? For the purpose of social stock exchange, yes, the statutory auditor of, if he or she is the social auditor as well, then only they can be an impact assessment of auditor as well. Because for impact assessment, social auditor exam need to be clear mandatory. Otherwise, you will not be able to sign that particular report. For that, you should have a membership with Institute of Social Auditors of India. Without membership with Institute of Social Auditor of India, you will not be able to sign any impact assessment report as per social audit standards. Is there any role of social impact assessor in ESG? So to conduct a social impact assessment, understanding of the ESG is most important, because ESG is again something, a pillar of impact assessment. I will show you one report which right now we are working, just we need to submit the company. So without understanding the environmental aspect or a social aspect, understanding of the SDGs or the relevant thematic areas, it is difficult to conduct any impact assessment. So ESG is having an important aspect here. Understanding of all these three pillars, ESG full form is environmental social governance. It's important to conduct impact assessment, and then only you will able to correlate that, okay, this is something environmental impact, which we can see as an impact through this particular program or project, or a social impact, which you can observe and see. I am a certified social auditor and willing to register my firm as a social auditor firm. What is the process? So that process probably will be issued by institutions soon, because it is under discussion with the SEBI. And once there is a proper framework and SEBI is giving a proper green signal to issue that framework, so you will find that process soon, and then you will be able to register your firm as a social auditor firm. So for that, you need to wait for some time more. As per the requirement, social impact assessment will be performed by a social impact assessor firm employing this and eligible firm having 3 years of experience in conducting social impact assessment. As the qualification has been announced a year back, how this eligibility will be fulfilled. So 3-year experience, not exactly in the conducting impact assessment under social audit regime. It before that also, because CSR rule was amended in 2021, and since 2021, for certain threshold limit, there are agencies who are conducting an impact assessment. That is the reason, probably what I understand. Again, it is just my opinion and understanding. We are seeing this particular rule that there are certain set of people who are actually conducting an impact assessment on a regular basis. So the top 400, 500 listed company, you see their annual report, you will find the impact assessment report for their CSR expenditure for last 3 years since 2021. So that is the reason what I understand this 3 years experience is being mentioned here. And for yourself, maybe not necessarily that first engagement should be under social audit regime. You can find any CSR impact assessment in an initial stage where you can have a good experience with that organization, and later on, by having that kind of the experience, you can apply for further impact assessment for the social stock exchange. How many social impact assessment firms are currently eligible to conduct impact assessment? Where can we get the information? Under Institute of Social Auditor of India, as far as my knowledge, currently empanelment has not been done. So if you ask me, empaneled firms, there is no particular list of that empaneled firms. This is my knowledge and maybe confirmed by the institute itself. And if you talk about in general sense, so there are ample of the agencies, there are ample of the firms who are conducting a impact assessment exercise for various institutions. So just search on a Google or maybe the previous impact assessment report of the listed entities that you can see whom it is being, by whom it is being issued. So probably, because what I have seen, like IIM also was conducting an impact assessment. There is an organization name called Lead Consultancy. They are also conducting impact assessment. So there are various agencies who are in this type of the consulting, sorry, who are regularly conducting the impact assessment and regularly having a, understanding that how to conduct a impact assessment. Do we also report the negative impact on the social project? Yes, we also need to report any negative impact if it is being observed by us. And then what should be, what can be the recommendation from our side, that what is the particular things that in future they need to work on that, or they need to update in their project. So that also we need to report. Unstructured interviews. So unstructured interviews are something informal discussion. Like this particular framework is something structured, where we are having this PPT, some part we are having as a discussion here. But whenever I'm getting any queries from your side, so I'm trying to answer your queries. So it is something which is unstructured. I was not aware that what kind of the queries is going to be in front of me, and what will be the doubts or queries that we need to answer. So this is something unstructured. So whenever you are having a target beneficiaries, so you need to have a informal discussion sometimes, so that you can see that, okay, actual impact has been caused or not. Because by having a structured interview, you will only get a probably close-ended question where your answer will be yes, no, not applicable, and not more than that. If it is a qualitative answer, if you are expecting, so that again you will not get more than one line or two liner. So by having only one liner or two liner, it is difficult to draft a impact assessment report. So for that, normally we prefer unstructured interviews, so that we can understand what is the areas where institution needs to update or need to work more, or maybe a negative impact is being caused, or maybe certain things that they need to take care in the future. So unstructured is always preferred. Yes, a structured part is also there always. So combination of focus group, structured and unstructured, you can always consider for the impact assessment. How to protect against data privacy obligations, since a lot of data collected may relate to the named beneficiaries. Any suggestion on the tools report writers to be present in a good? So SIA report, I will show you one draft report which I am working right now. So probably that will give you brief idea that. And again, this particular impact assessment you are conducting on behalf of the organization. You are having a engagement letter with that organization where you are mentioning that you are in a process of collecting few informations and which is required under the particular law or a prescribed norms. And you always mention that non-disclosure agreement that you will not share that details with any other group or any other company. So it is again our integrity and accountability that we will not share or we will not, use that information for other means and purpose, and we need to take care of that part. So few more questions I will take after few more slides. So now we'll understand that how to, prepare a report, impact assessment report. So this is a structure which is being given in NISM workbook itself, and which just give us a complete idea that what exactly this audit report, or rather way I will say it as an impact assessment report, SEBI or any regulator is expecting from us. So this report is particularly very qualitative nature, not in quantitative nature, where questions are open-ended and you need to respond against each of the requirement. Like title, which clearly indicates that it is an independent audit report or rapid impact assessment as per your engagement letter. Then whom you are engaging in some cases, what is your audit objective, what is your scope, identification of the client, then team who has conducted, location, audit criteria, findings, conclusion, then a statement on the degree on which the audit criteria have been fulfilled, any unresolved or diverging opinion between audit team and auditee. So similar to like emphasis of matter we normally have in our independent audit report, this is something area. And then your report should include appropriate about audit plan, the summary of process which you have followed, confirmation of the audit objective, areas within the audit scope which is not being covered because of the non-availability of evidence or resources. Then a summary of your issues and a good practices which you have identified. Then agreed action plan which is being followed up, statement of confidential nature. I think this is one answer for one of the query. And implication for the audit program or a subsequent audit. Then a statement that this engagement was performed in accordance with the SAS framework, and a statement that the social auditor comply with the independence and other ethical requirement of code of conduct. So this is how you need to report, prepare the draft of your report. This will be the first year when you see the impact assessment in this type of the structure. The previous impact assessment report you will not find in this particular structure, because at that point of time, there was no particular this type of rules or structured which was issued by SEBI for the social impact assessment. So if you see a previous impact assessment report, don't compare that report with this particular report format. For this year, you will find few impact assessment in this type of the framework where the impact assessment has been conducted by the social auditor itself. Other than social auditor, if any agency conducting an impact assessment, so then probably you will not find this particular report framework. This is the code of conduct that we need to take care, where again, these are the 6 principles we need to take care, like integrity, objectivity, professional behavior, confidentiality, professional competence, and independence. So integrity, I think we all are aware about that. It is about right, truthful, and a fair dealing and honest. So these are the core values similar to our CA code of conduct. And I don't think so it is something required to explain that what exactly it is being expected from us being integrity. Objectivity is something which we should not compromise judgment because of biasness or a conflict of interest, so that we need to take care. Professional behavior, so it is expected from us to always have a professional behavior lawfully. We should not present ourselves somewhere, not in a proper somewhere to discredit or disrespect the profession. So that is something which we need to take care, that our behavior should always be in a professional in nature, and we should always have an upliftment of our institution. Confidentiality. So this is something we need to take care as a professional relationship. Whatever the data and details which is being shared with us during this impact assessment exercise, that we need to keep as a confidential and should not be disclosed other than requirement of any legal part. Professional competency and due care. So this is something which I understand now we need to work more on us. Like normal professional competency and due care we understand what exactly it means. But to conduct the impact assessment, there are few things that we need to take care. Like we are good in English and Hindi, but when you are conducting an impact assessment, probably you need to communicate in a local language based on the target group or the target beneficiaries. So that competency either we should have in ourselves, or we should have a team member who can communicate in an easy thing. Because not necessarily that every time in a rural area, you are able to communicate with the people in Hindi or maybe English. It's probably not a language somewhere you are going to use in this particular domain. Due care is something whenever you are interacting with these target beneficiaries, we need to take care that we should not hurt their sentiments in any manner. We understand that they are somewhere underprivileged or underserved because of certain reasons, and that is the reason these enterprises are working for their upliftment. So that due care we need to take care. And independence is something, again, it's not in mind and appearance. It's about that how we find ourselves and we keep our independence always on a top priority. So this was from my side in terms of a good number of questions, which I will try to respond one by one. And meanwhile, if other questions are coming, so that questions can be posted and I will respond all the queries and questions one by one. In between a few questions, first I will respond here, then we'll show you one impact assessment report as well, that how we should, prepare an impact assessment report.
So thank you, Harsha.
Hello, friends. Yeah.
We have CA Preeti Paras Savlaji, Central Council member and director of the ISAI. I'm requesting you to kindly address the participant.
Hello, thank you, Rangoli, who is in charge of Institute of Social Auditors of India, and Harsha Ramnani, who is the speaker for this session, and all my dear participants. The social audit is a very new concept, and now it has been renamed as Social Impact Assessment with the recent SEBI circular coming in. So now the social audit has become social impact assessment, and the social auditor has become the social impact assessor. So, friends, while bringing out this regulation, we have done a lot of work while devising this code of conduct or this social audit framework or social audit standards. There are 16 standards. These are based on 16 thematic areas which are prescribed by SEBI for registration and listing of NPOs on social stock exchange. And friends, this is entirely non-financial audit. So all of us as a chartered accountant are doing the audit of charitable trust or society who is into this charitable activities or Section 8 companies. So now this is a non-financial, this is a social audit or impact assessment where we have to actually understand the money which have come as a donation have actually been utilized for the purpose for which they are taken, and all the ZCZP instrument which have been subscribed are actually put to use. So there are all baseline, midline and endline, whether they have been complied with. The quarterly utilization certificate is also required to be given to exchanges for those listed projects. So lot of questions come ki to whom this social impact assessment is applicable. So friends, this is applicable for the entities and the projects which are listed with the exchanges. So at present, there are about 80 to 90 NPOs which are registered with the exchange, either BSE or NSE Social Stock Exchange, out of which, as of March 24, 5 NPOs have been listed. And for them, these will be applicable for these NPOs projects which are listed. So there are the firm guidelines which it is under process to come out with. At present, there are about 500 social auditors registered with Institute of Social Auditors of India. This ISAI is 100% subsidiary of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. It is SRO, that is self-regulatory organization, established on the basis of the SEBI notification, where it is specifically mentioned that SRO should be formed under ICAI or any other agency which will be approved by SEBI. So our name is given as it is. So we have taken a lot of initiatives to bring out this all standards, social audit standards and the framework. We have visited various NGOs to understand what kind of reporting should be there and how the standard should be framed. Because if we see each social audit standard, there are different types of NGOs which are there in even single thematic areas. If we take an example of, say, educational institute, right? So in that, there can be the school for small children, it can be for women, it can be for mentally retarded children, or n types of NPOs can be there imparting education. Likewise, the medical treatment, there can be hospitals, different kinds of hospitals, or like that. Even in the even in each thematic areas. So looking those variety of NPOs, we have decided, the experts of the group have decided to build certain KPIs in the standards on the basis of which the reporting can happen by the social auditor. And all those KPIs have been mentioned in this 16th social audit standards. We have made it as easy to understand and apply for the social audit. And accordingly, entire processes, the SOPs have been designed, developed, and the SEBI has also recognized it, and we have worked hand in hand with the regulators, whether it is SEBI or both the exchanges. So this is the brief background for the social audit standards. I'm the first social auditor of India ISAI. So friends, with this, I believe that a lot of opportunities are there for social auditors. So Harsha is there to take the question answers. I can also take up, but she being the faculty, I would like to leave all the questions for her because she has taken this session. But if any queries are there, feel free to reach out to us, because we want to serve the best to all the social auditors who all are registered with ISAI. Rangoli is there to take care for the benefit of all the members. So with these words, I wish you a very, very happy learning, and please come out with all your suggestions so that we can take up all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Harsha, ma'am, any other question which you would like to answer?
Yeah, there are 25 questions, so we'll try to respond one by one.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So the one question is how one can assess impact of the program on school going children with their social emotional development should be opinion from a subject matter expert. So see whom to engage for the conducting any unstructured interviews or a focus group discussion. It is completely based on the type of program or a project which you are conducting an impact assessment. So if you think that this is a particular program or project which is something related to the school going children with respect to their social emotional development, and which is something very critical in nature, and that should be taken care by the subject matter expert. So it is up to the organization that how they are engaging these expert within their team itself. Client always expect us to give a quality impact assessment report, and it is up to us that how we engage a different subject matter expert for the different engagement purpose. Highlight various professional opportunities for social auditors in current and possible in future. So as Preeti ma'am also mentioned in her address, that now approximately 80 plus institutions already being registered with the Social Stock Exchange. 5 institutions or social enterprises are already come up with their listing of the instruments, and later on we will find, we will see more listing and registration on Social Stock Exchange. So this is again one of the regular opportunity where you can help, first of all, always for the registration with the Social Stock Exchange, because once you go through with the complete process of social impact assessment or the complete background of social impact assessment, you will be having a complete understanding of how this exchange is working, what are the requirements, how that requirement needs to be taken care. So this is something we can always explore as our interest of area. Impact assessment will be the regular requirement for the NGOs who are registered on a Social Stock Exchange and listed on the Social Stock Exchange. Apart from that, CSR impact assessment or other projects, even though on a voluntary basis, if it is being required, we can always conduct a impact assessment. So these are the few opportunities which presently I can see available for us. Maybe in future also, because now government is understanding what are the bottlenecks or what are the difficulties organizations are facing when they are coming on Social Stock Exchange, and accordingly rules are being amended. So according to that, most probably in future as well, we will see more opportunities in this area. SEBI issued any guideline to register the firm as a social auditor firm? Also, please inform whether MCS registered with ICAI can do. So for that, I think institute can give us more understanding, and whenever they are having a guidelines from a SEBI, how to empanel any social impact assessment firm, so that they will release soon for all of us. Till the time, we need to wait for the same. If no social audit firm is yet registered. So as I said, not necessarily that impact assessment always being conducted by any social impact assessor firm. For CSR, there is word mentioned in a CSR rule is independent agency. And what is the meaning of independent agency? The board agency which boards considered as a competent enough. So if board is considering me as a competent enough to conduct an impact assessment, so I can always produce my report for the same. Now it is up to me that whether I want to follow, because I am social auditor as well, to follow social audit standard, or just to provide my impact assessment report as previously we were providing before having a social audit standard. So I'll just show you one report which earlier we were making for the impact assessment purpose, so that you can have an idea that how normally it is being conducted or done. I hope my screen is visible. So this is a current report that we are preparing right now. So it is a rapid assessment because it is being done in just 4 to 5 days with a very limited size of sample. So this time we are amending this report little bit in terms of incorporating social audit standard and other relevant areas. Still, this is under preparation, so completely not aligned with the format which we discussed in the presentation. So please don't compare this with the presentation. Yes, but in earlier we were providing our report in this particular format only. So how we are starting, like we were giving introduction, what exactly is the CSR, what is the requirement, what is the effectiveness, how to recognize the impact assessment, and what exactly this particular initiative in terms of the JK thing. Then about their particular program, scholarship scheme, which they were providing for the purpose of this impact assessment, the complete statics about the scholarship. Then this particular linking we have added this year only, like linking with SAS 300 with the project, which is promoting education, employability, and the livelihood. So we tried to connect their project with the social audit standard, one of the 16 thematic social audit standard, that how it is being linked. And we tried to link it with like define clear objective, measure its impact, ensure accountability. Then we linked this particular project with SDG, which is SDG 4, quality education. And when we are linking our this project with the SDG, we aligned our this particular project with the UN sustainable goal. So whenever you are reviewing, you are searching SDG website, you will find that for each SDG you will find certain targets. So this 4.3 is not a 4.3 number of this particular section. It is a 4.3 target which is given on a SDG website, which is saying that by 2030 ensure equal access for all women, men to affordable and quality technical vocational tertiary education, including university. For that, they have given an indicator that participation rate of youth adults in a formal and non-formal education training in a previous 12 months by 6 can be considered as an indicator. So this is the extract of the target from SDG 4, which we considered, which is considered by the company for their university. So out of 7 targets, in this particular SDG, if you see the list of the targets, total 7 targets are there, which they have given. And out of that 7 targets, we have this particular organization is 4.3, 4.4 and 4.5 is considered for this company, which is linked with their project. Then we try to explain this particular in terms of the university, that how it is being linked. So we try to link with that this particular promotion of lifelong learning is linked with target 4.4. Then providing a scholarship is linked with target 4.5. Supporting higher education activities, then increased access to the quality education. So whatever we can consider as a linking with the specific target of SDG, we try to link that with the SDG. Then SMART goal link with the project. So that I think we were discussing in our slides as well, that it is specific, then measurable. Third is achievable, that we can achieve that. There should not be a number which is not achievable. Relevant, that how it is relevant, and time bound. So this is how we mentioned that how it is a SMART target. Then theory of change, which is an important aspect under social audit regime. This we explained that what exactly here meaning first of all as a theory of change. What are the pillars of the theory of change? So these are the 5 pillars: input, activity, output, outcome, and impact. Now, when I'm saying these are the 5 pillars, how we test all these 5 pillars for this particular project? So for this particular project, what is the input? The amount of scholarship which they are distributing to the students. So this is the input here. Activity is providing a scholarship and a institution which they have under which they are having a different programs. Then output is for particular year of impact assessment for which we are doing. Total 459 student is considered eligible for the scholarship and being provided the scholarship for continuing their education. Output and outcome. So difference will be always like output will be always in quantitative numbers. So here we will give always number that like this much amount is distributed as a scholarship. This much number of the students have been benefited by the scholarship. This is how something you can derive as a number. more than 40% of the student got placement. So this is something output which you can always as a quantify. Outcome is always in a qualitative nature, that by having that scholarship or by having a good quality education, what is the short-term goal we can see in these students? So improved educational attainment of the student, enhanced skill and knowledge. So these are certain short-term outcomes that we can see in a student. And impact is always, which is always in long term and somewhere targeting our SDG, which is SDG 4. So potential for poverty reduction. If you are providing a scholarship to the needy student, and by having a scholarship, they are having a good education. By having a good education, they will be able to get a good job. So that is something will help them to end the poverty within their family, and they will uplift their family status. So this is how you always try to, describe your impact by the activity. Then research, study and methodology, that how you worked on that particular project. So here we mentioned the objective. Then data collection. So what is the primary data here? Then again divided in qualitative and a quantitative. Then secondary data. Then data analysis. So one will be the desktop review, whatever the information you have received from the institution. Second will be the on-site review, where you will be having certain meetings with the stakeholders, certain meetings with the students, and based on their gender, you can divide the remarks that what you are finding as a observations. Then challenges and areas of improvement that you can find after having discussions. Limitation of the assessment, if you find anything, so that you can explain here. Then utilization of a scholarship. So this is something that this much of amount of scholarship is being given to the student, and these student composition is 58% from engineering, then management institution, design institution. Then in terms of lakh rupees, how much percentage is being given. Then at last you will give an outcome and impact created, because this is something report is being requested. So you will detail the outcome and impact which is being created in a detailed manner. And in terms of the conclusion, you will mention that your scholarship program is aligned with government central scheme, SDG goal, Niti Aayog thematic areas, SAS 300 or a theory of change, and other aspects. So this is how something, we try to conclude our report, and we submit report to the listed entity so that they can publish an annual report. Without complete the financial audit, how can impact assessment be made within 90 days from the financial year? Because this is not audit of the financial number, it is the audit of impact cost. So if the activity is being completed, it is being ready for the audit, and you can always conduct an audit for that activity which is being completed. What is the limit for doing impact assessment? Currently, in my knowledge, there is no particular threshold which is being issued by the SEBI or any particular institution that this much number of the engagement we should take. Probably in near future, if we find any type of threshold limit, so that will be circulated by the institution. Is there any model to quantify the impact in terms of the money? So whenever we are conducting impact assessment, it is not required to quantify your impact in money, and it is never possible to quantify that in money. Impact is always in a qualitative in nature, and that you need to describe. I think by having a report structure, probably it is being observed by everyone here. What is the scope of the social auditor for practicing CA? So yes, we should do as an additional area. Now, probably you are aware that when it is a part of CSR rules, so this is something you can always explore within listed entities. And we have approximately more than 6,000 plus listed entities in India. And then a private institutions, private limited companies as well, where the CSR is mandatory. So wherever the CSR amount is required to be spent under the threshold limit of rules, which is being amended in 2021, they need an impact assessment report on an annual basis. Is it mandatory for social enterprise to get impact assessment done under any law? Yes, for social enterprises who are registered with Social Stock Exchange, annually within 90 days, they need to submit their impact assessment report to the particular exchange. Difference between BRSR, ESG reporting and a social audit. So BRSR, ESG is the different thing and a social audit is a different thing. Social audit is the impact assessment of the project or program which is being designed for the target beneficiaries or target people. ESG or a BRSR is a type of framework, Indian framework of the sustainability reporting. And ESG is something which is very broad in terms. And now government is more focused to integrate the ESG within business practices. ESG is something which you need to incorporate in your regular business activities. It is not a different thing. Social enterprises project are the different aspects. So we should not merge both these. One is North Pole and other one is the South Pole. So social audit is completely different and BRSR ESG is the completely different. We can have a full day long session on the same and probably can be discussed on a later stage. How to enroll as an impact assessment auditor. So first you need to clear the social auditor exam, which is available on NISM portal. Once you clear the exam, you need to apply for a membership with Institute of Social Auditors of India. And the process is already being listed on the Institute of Social Auditor of India website, where you will get a complete detail how to apply for the same. Can we have our own rubber stamp as a social auditor? We have a stamp any report without being registered. Currently, for impact assessment under CSR rules, you can just do it as a CA firm as well. So I don't think so. You need to have a different rubber stamp for the same. For a social auditor, I think the people who are already registered with Institute of Social Auditor of India, they have given the membership number and that we need to mention in our social impact assessment report. Format of reports in an email. So as I mentioned, just see top 300, 400 listed companies, their previous year CSR disclosure. You will find the impact assessment report, which was conducted by an independent agency, and that will give you more insight that how to conduct the impact assessment. As I said that whatever the impact assessment report you need, just go on the company website, download their annual report, see their CSR disclosure, and you will find all the details of CSR expenditure as well as the independent agency report of their projects that completely available on the public platform for the download purpose. So probably that can be used for your educational purpose. I hope I have taken most of the queries. Still, if there is any query which is being left for the answer, please let me know. The financial statement of the NPO for 2024 are not ready by the deadline for submitting the report. What to do, especially submitting the annual disclosure? So, sir, penalty norms are there, which is being followed by the SEBI exchange particularly. So, just you need to guide your registered this social enterprises that their financials should be ready before the deadline. If it is not being submitted timely to the stock exchange, the social stock exchange, then heavy penalty they need to be paid. When the social audit become mandatory, so social audit, once your social enterprises is registered on social stock exchange, then all the applicable rules and regulations of that stock exchange will be applicable on them, and accordingly they need to submit their annual statements and impact assessment report to the exchange on regular basis. What is the cost of social impact assessment? Any limit for the same? Sir, up to your efforts and time that you are putting in the particular engagement. It depends on the size of the project. time that you need to, you are putting to conduct a impact assessment. So probably we can't here give particular number, but just you need to see that how much effort and time we are putting in the exercise, and accordingly you can quote your fee for the impact assessment. Just an idea. So fee range starts from, like, if you are just conducting an impact assessment for one project, and that is having very like limited. So normally it's being start like 1,80,000 to 1 lakh, and can go up to number of the projects, that if you are having a 10 projects or a 15 projects, so accordingly you charge a fee. So for the firm, at present, I'm not clear about that, whether if you are a part of firm and you are social auditor, then your firm is eligible to conduct social assessment or impact assessment or not. So just wait for the clarification from SEBI side, and accordingly, we will get a clarity. Currently, whatever the engagements I am able to see for other listed companies as well, it is being done by the different independent agencies, and it is not being signed by anyone. Just it is mentioned that impact assessment conducted by this agency. So proper signing I have not seen in past. Let's see for current year that how we'll find in terms of the signing part. Any other question which is not being answered?
Ma'am, till now, whatever questions were received, I posted into the group, so I think we're done.
Generally, NPOs are running 6 to 8 programs per project. In this case, how to include all these in a single report? So, sir, yesterday only I have seen Rail Vikas Nigam Limited CSR Impact Assessment Report. They were having approximately 16 to 18 programs, and their report was long, 100 plus pages. Similarly, if you see the Infosys report, they are having approximately 10 to 12 programs. So they are also having a long report. So that will give you enough idea that how to incorporate all these projects or a program in one report, and how we can make a draft for the client purpose. ESG, BRSR, social audit, I think I'm cleared that ESG and BRSR is a different thing, different reporting under SEBI regulations, and social audit is the complete different aspect. Has ISAI SSC decided the threshold of cost? As such, I'm not aware that any of the institution has decided the cost percentage of to conduct any impact assessment. So probably I'm not aware about any that kind of the threshold. If you find any document, so that can be shared with the coordinators, and probably later on we can share the insight on the same. Can you explain with the example inconsistency of data and how to correct it? So inconsistency of data is like, if institution is like, I have already given the example that we have distributed a scholarship to 400 or 500 students, and when you are visiting institution, because obviously for impact assessment you are going to visit that institution not less than 3 to 4 times, you are not able to see more than 100 student or 200 student, then it always give you doubt that how they distributed scholarship more than 400 student when you are not able to see more than 100 student at a time. So you always ask for the list of the student who are enrolled for different courses. Then you try to see total number of the student, what are this, how many students they have given a scholarship. And when you have a doubt, you always increase your sample size, so that out of that list, at least you try to contact and try to meet and have a discussion in person to understand whether impact has been caused or not. So up to your professional skepticism and a judgment that how you resolve that issue. ZCZP, so document I will share with coordinators, they will share all, or otherwise if you search recent circulars and notification on social audit engagement or social impact assessment, you will find that for the same. For draft report, as I mentioned, all reports are available online. Just go on the website, whatever the company you like, and see that how they have, the agency have conducted the impact assessment. So just for example, I'll show you this Infosys report. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. I'll show you that how you can find the link of independent impact assessment report. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here, if you see the Infosys report of 22-23, the page number 91, you can see here detailed impact assessment report can be accessed, and here you can find the link. So once you click the link, this is how the report you can see. I think this report is also visible on a screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So for any organization, here you can see that they have given one by one Advanced Center of the Treatment and Education in Cancer, Navi Mumbai. So this is the report for that. Then National Cancer Institute, Jajjar, COVID Relief Project. So the list of number of the projects they are having, total 27 pages report you can see here. So just whatever the company you like and their CSR initiatives you like, just go on their website, download their annual report, check their CSR disclosure, and you will find the link of independent impact assessment report wherever it is applicable as per CSR rules, amended rule 2021. I hope it will help all the participants. So most of the queries I tried to respond. Is there any query? If it is not being responded, please let me know.
I don't think so. You have already answered so many queries, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, so on behalf of Institute of Social Auditors of India, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for attending this webinar on process of social impact assessment. It has been an enlightening and enriching experience for all of us, and I hope so. And I would also sincerely appreciate C. Harsha Ramnani for sharing her invaluable insights, expertise, and experience with us. Your contributions have always been instrumental in deepening our understanding, ma'am. And
Thank you.
thank you so much. Thanks all the participants for your active engagement, thought-provoking questions rather, and valuable contributions for the benefit of this profession. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And have a great day.